we're excited about. Um, okay, so I'm gonna just try to keep this as clean and simple as organized as possible. So we're gonna kind of go down the line here. I want to point out first this section here that says quick actions. This is a new feature. Um, if you click the quick action section, this allows you to easily send a request or make a payment. Because this is our sandbox account and it's not linked to a bank account. The make a payment button isn't here, but you'll see that in your portal. There'll be two options, make a payment or new request. So those are the most used features of the portal, which is why they're linked to that quick action section. And this is a way that you can get help easily because communication is something that we will talk about over and over and over again. It's kind of the number one, how do we communicate with you? Where do we send things? Through the portal or by emailing support at microhoa .com. I'm just
Hey,
looking at that chat here. My screen
Jessica,
is pretty large, so
Jessica, can you go up to the three buttons beside your icon in the right-hand corner and see if there is, see if you can just increase this, increase it like up to 100 and see if that can bring that a little bit. There we go. That might help a little bit. Thank you.
and again, glad you found the chat feature. So as we're going along here, any questions, feel free to drop them in the chat. So this quick action section, we'll go over more how to make a request, but that just brings you right there. And the other second feature that they added was this inbox here. So if you select inbox, this mimics what you might see in your Yahoo or Gmail account that just organizes all of the messages that you receive that are recorded in the portal or statements or anything that needs attention is organized here. You can filter by unread only by toggling this little button here. And it also brings it to this organization that shows you the things that might need attention. So those would be violations or, collections if there was anything that needed your attention there. Requests that have come in, general inquiries that you've made to support at microhoa.com.
Right.
Messages that have been shared through the portal and via email. And this generation section, those are just automated like statements that have gone out. So if you see that generations, that's all that means. No attention is needed there. But those are the really two new features that the portal has to offer. The only other difference here before we go into board specifics is this compliance and notices section on the left-hand side. So in the inbox, there was that section that says needs attention. Well, same thing is here. Compliance and notices would be for anything for violations and collections. So if an owner was receiving violation messages or, late notices for their delinquent account, they would be in this section as well. Again, just to bring it to their attention in an easier format since it's the most important thing they'll find on the portal besides making payments. So, this section here, as you should know, all homeowners have access to. It's the board action section that we're going to be featuring today in this training that only board members with the board permissions have access to. But I want to start by talking about communication. I'll say it 100 times probably. When you need something, email support at microhoa.com, or you can submit a request through the portal. So the way that you would do that, requests or by using that quick action button up top here. And then you can select new request, general inquiry. And here's where you can submit a question for Micro HOA. It will come to us the same way that if you email support at microhoa.com, that's coming through as well. But this is also really neat because you can communicate with your board members so that it's all recorded in the portal this same way. So if you initiate a question for the board strand, this will be sent to all the board members. You can include any attachments, say, hey, I got this bid for landscaping. What does everybody think about it? This way, all communication is routed in the portal and recorded properly, and you're not just in your personal emails and having to search for it um, in another place. Once you initiate this thread here, you can reply via email or you can reply in the portal. I will mention this several times as well because all of this communication, even though it's recorded in the portal, is coming to your email accounts. If you reply through your email account, it serves as a reply all, meaning if you get a question for the board submitted by an owner and reply all, it's going to all the board members as well as the owner. If you reply through the portal, it allows you to select the recipients. And I'll show you here. Okay. If I got this question for the board here, it automatically is showing who this message is going to. So if you didn't want the homeowner to see the message, you can just unselect the homeowner. A note is just something that would be on your thread but not sent to anybody. So that's a good feature if you're just trying to keep notes on like violations or something to track for yourself. You can just jot notes and it won't go anywhere, but it will be visible on the thread in your portal. And it's also going to go to customer support. So replying through the portal allows you to select the recipients, whereas replying through your email, it will automatically go to everybody. So please just keep that in mind. But that's the way that you can initiate communication with the board. You can initiate communication with micro HOA. We do get this question a lot. How do we initiate communication with our owners? At this time, there's no functionality in the portal for boards to initiate a broadcast email message to all owners or even initiate a message thread with one particular owner. You'll have to submit that to Micro HOA through support at microhoa.com or as a request through the portal to Micro HOA, and we'll get that distributed to you. However, if you ask us to send a message to one particular owner, if it's a broadcast message, we send it to everybody as a do not reply. And the reason we do that is because if we sent it as a regular message from the board, you would see a copy of it for each owner in your association in your portal thread here, and we don't want to clog that up. However, if you want to say, can you please send this message to my neighbor? They um, were questioning our landscape services, and here's our reply. Then you'll see that thread as message from the board, and you can go ahead and communicate with the owner on that thread without having to go back and forth with micro HOA again. So the way that you would communicate would be by selecting these three black dots next to the message. You can send message and you'll see it's going to the homeowner and the board. If you didn't want it to go to the board or homeowner, you would just select who you want it to go to. And you can attach files there. If you go to view, you can actually see the whole thread of the messages that were sent. And again, hit reply and then select who you would like it to go to, homeowner and board. I want, the whole board to be in the loop here, or just the homeowner, or just the board if we wanted to discuss something before sending a message to the owner. So this board tasks feature, I know it's at the bottom of board actions, but this is kind of our go-to, which is why I'm bringing it up first, because this is where you're going to go most often to respond back to an owner, to see any board actions, view your ARC requests, if there's any collection action items open, see all of your messages from the board that you can reply on, and your questions for the board, which The only difference, a message from the board was initiated by the board, whereas the question for the board was initiated by the homeowner. But you reply equally the same by selecting.
Can you say that one more time? Because this is a difference I think that confuses a lot of people. It's just a label, but to be savvy about what's going on,
Yep.
messages from the homeowner have a label that says
Question for board. That means
question for
they
the board.
submitted
Yep.
a question to support@microhoa.com and we sent it to you, the board members, and this is how it's recorded in the portal.
Yeah. And if it's if a message from the board or a message, between the board, what is the category?
Message from the board means we initiated that communication to an owner on behalf of the board. So that's a little bit of clarity on that. All
Okay,
right,
great. And
communication.
then one more thing on this board tasks thing. I don't know if you guys, I mean, sometimes like part of our mission for you is to make everything, as much as board service is not simple and organized, to make it as organized. This board tasks section is like your organization board. It breaks things into categories. So that's hopefully how you'll use that. That's the intent of that.
Yes. So communication through the portal is what we recommend. We do want to make sure all HOA business is recorded in the portal. If you have owners that are emailing you to your personal emails, redirect them back. Say, please submit a question to the board through the portal or email support@microhoa.com so that we can get it to you and recorded in the portal properly. Um, okay. The next thing I want to bring up is the document section of the library, which is accessible to all homeowners, which is why it's up top and not under the board action section. So for documents, all of the HOA records are stored here. And where did my columns go? Um, If you'd like to see which folders are board only and which are public or available to all homeowners, you can add this column if it's not already set on your dashboard by selecting the three black dots and choose columns. There's this button here that says access. And you can see which parent folders are accessible to everybody. The few board only folders are the board resources, which I'll open in just a moment here. Your legal and compliance, so anything having to do with litigation would be board only. Anything having to do with collections would be board only. All of your vendor contracts are also board only, but pretty much and the board financials. So there's owner financials which are posted quarterly, as well as board financials which are posted quarterly. The only difference in the board financial packet is it's a little bit more comprehensive and includes the AR aging reports, which is collections. So that's why it's board only access. But everything else is available to homeowners, all of the governing documents, insurance policies, state compliance stuff, owner resources. Um, Under board resources, if you haven't checked this out, please feel free to do so. We have, and we're constantly trying to update this, all different information for Excella as our collection partner, how to upload documents to the document library, this board portal training in slideshow format, budget resources, voting resources, meeting resources. So if you need a board recruitment message, that we have templates for that, meeting minutes templates, we have agenda templates, all kinds of great things for you here. As well as violations, which we'll talk about a little bit later, but I did want to show you the how-to for violations, and our violation submission form is located in this folder. Board members only, not homeowners, just board members have the ability to upload documents as well to these folders. So you can upload files to these parent folders, or within these parent folders, you can upload a new folder.
Mm. Oh.
So create that. And within it, you can upload any files by selecting the upload file button, grab it from your computer and upload it there.
Mm.
You also have the ability, which is very common, but you can duplicate
So,
a folder if you wanted to put it in two different places, although we don't recommend clogging things up that way. But the document library, that's how you know if you're not sure, like, hey, can owners see this? If you select choose columns and that access button, you'll be able to see if it's a homeowner folder or a board folder. Um, the last thing up here is the calendar and events. Again, this is available for all owners. It's visible to, but only board members have the ability to create an event. So if you wanted to post a community gathering, an upcoming meeting, you can do so by selecting the day or select create event. And it's very simple, walks you through what's the title, what's the start and end. You put your times. Is it recurring? You can add your description. If you have a Zoom link for an upcoming meeting, you can throw it in that description. And then for category, you can, kind of color code it here. Is this a community event, a board meeting? And if you only wanted board members to be able to see it, you can change the security on it. If it's a task that you wanted to kind of calendar for yourself, you can just make it internal and you'll see it only. Or if you want it available to all homeowners, you would select homeowner. So that's just, they cleaned this feature up, which is why I wanted to bring that to your attention as well. Um, okay.
Jessica, do you want to take some questions about communications while we're in that section? Okay. In the chat, for one, we have one really puzzling thing. Jessica Coho she sees an entirely different portal interface than the one we have, than the new one. So, and it's not even the old one. So we're gonna have to
Oh,
investigate that, Jessica, and
you've won
figure
the
out.
golden ticket, I think is what
No,
that
I
means.
know that
oh,
my
that's what
my
I
response to
wanted.
her was, "Well, that's a new one." I really, we're really gonna have to try to figure that out. Uh, but one of the things I would recommend is this actually related to what we were talking about when Larry was asking about increasing the size of the screen. Try changing if you're not seeing some buttons. Try first changing your magnification on your own screen. That happens to me sometimes where I can't see something that's on the edge, and then I change the magnification and it shows me the whole screen. So I don't think that's not what's happening with Jessica Coho's, but it was happening with another one. All right, Larry asks what he has a follow-up question about communication. So Larry, did you want to ask your question?
Sure, if this is, I didn't want to interrupt the flow of the presentation, but
No, good. Let's go.
okay, so I understand why it's important for most, if not all, communication to go through the portal, but I have a sort of concern about having all communication go through the portal, and it's sort of two reasons. One is it's an extra layer that everybody has to go through to communicate because you have to set up, make sure you're getting notified that there is a message in the portal because people aren't always logged into it. But more importantly, a lot of the communication that we both on the board and sometimes with homeowners have in our little association is either very mundane and not really necessary to be recorded, for legal or historical reasons, or it might be a little bit sensitive and something that you don't really want recorded for, all time for legal or other reasons, like you're just deliberating as a board, for example, about some issue and how you want to bring something to the homeowners or how you want to present it to them. So is that just really for us to kind of figure out where that line is to be drawn in terms of communicating through the portal and not through the portal, or
Yeah,
or maybe you want to say
absolutely.
more about your own sort of philosophy about that?
I
Thanks.
mean, again, we're talking about, some really small homeowners associations. The board may be your three neighbors and you may be chatting outside. But first I wanted to address that an owner doesn't have to be logged into the portal to see the communication. It gets sent to their email. It's recorded in the portal. So they always have it to go back to when they see it there, but they'll get it to their email address. If you say, please send this out to the owners, it's going to their email address. We recommend for the board, when they get a question for the board, to reply through the portal instead of email if you want to be careful on who the recipient is going to be. So that hopefully clears that up. But any communication that is association business that may require an action. So if you're just saying like, hey, we really, should take a look at getting some new vendors for or bids for our landscaper, like these flowers are looking a little off, does that have to go through the portal? No. But if you're at the point where you're going to potentially take action and start reaching out to vendors and getting those bids, that should be recorded in the portal.
Okay, thank you.
You're
Yeah,
welcome.
I love that question because it's a pain, right? I mean, like it's here to help support official communication, I mean, like for my kids' pediatrician, I have to use a portal every time I communicate anything to them, and it really was a pain to me at first. But now I kind of I'm in the flow, and I understand um, I understand the reasons for that. Jessica's guidance is very good. The main thing, I think sometimes Larry and everyone, sometimes people really want to rely on pushing all HOA communication to the portal when they have a problem communicator, when they have a problem, and so if that's not your circumstance, then yeah, I mean, just talking amongst yourselves is really routine. But Jessica's guidance is good. If it is about official association business, about financials, or about planning, please do make an effort to bring that into the portal.
Board members change, and we want to make sure that, there's always kind of a something we can follow the thread back through if we needed to for any reason. Just to protect yourselves as well. Um, okay, anything else on communication?
Does anybody else have any questions about communication? Okay, Jessica.
All right,
Go
I'm going
on.
to move things along here. Um, I'm going to stick with a few other kind of communication things here. For our associations that have architectural review committees or ARCs, which may just be the same members that are the board, those will come through to you via email if there is an ARC request submitted. But then they can be tracked here under board actions. So if you go to ARCs, you'll be able to click on the thread and see what the owner has submitted, as well as any attachments. So this paper clip here, if you select the paper clip, this one doesn't have attachments, but if it did, it would show up here so you can see their ARC form. Whoever set up as the ARC chair, which typically when we set it up, if you have not specified otherwise, then we just set all board members to ARC chair. Here's where you can decline or approve the ARC request. If you need more information or want to talk to the owner directly, you can just simply send a message to the homeowner, or you can discuss it with the ARC committee prior to approving or declining the request. So, say somebody wants to install a fence and you want to just, make sure you're all on the same page, send a message to the ARC committee. Is this okay? Send a message. So that did not go to the homeowner. This just went to the ARC committee. They can reply back and now, okay, we're all good. We can approve this request, or you can approve it with conditions. Paint color must be white. And then you can submit that. And then that will notify the homeowner. They'll get a letter stating, your ARC request has been approved, or it's been approved with these conditions, or it's been declined. Um, so here you can see the step. There's only one ARC request that's open right now, and it's in the ARC review step. So once they are approved or declined, you'll want to select include closed, and that's where you'll find your archived records of all of the ARC requests that have come in. So just by selecting that include closed, and it'll tell you the homeowner, property address, and you can just click on any of them, view the attachments, and see the whole thread back and forth of kind of what transpired. So if you're a new board member and say, oh, did that person get that approved? You can always go back and track that. Those records are archived. Invoices. So, during onboarding or at any time there's a board change, I'm sorry, is there any notification settings in ARC portal to notify board members? Yes, board members who are on the ARC committee are notified via email when there is an ARC request to view in the portal. So you are notified via email. Some people live in the portal, check it 5 times a day. Most of us don't. So yes, everything goes to your emails. Invoices. We can set invoice approval. So every association, we have set up at least one board invoice approver. And you can reach out to support at any time to say, we've been with you 6 months. We don't need to board approval for invoices under $1,000. We can set it at any threshold. We could set it for 2 invoice approvers. Or just one. So you let us know by emailing support if you'd like any of those changed. All board members can see the invoices in the portal. Only the board invoice approver can approve or decline one. And again, you are notified by email if you're the board invoice approver and there's an invoice in the board approval step, you're notified via email. But here's where you can see, so we see these open items. There's some in the board approval step, so you can go in and you can view. Doesn't look like I'm the invoice approver, so I don't have that approve or decline button. But if I were the invoice approver, once I select view, and right next to the view button, there will be the 3 black dots. If you select them, it will say approve or decline. You can also write a note, like send customer support a message on the invoice. You can drill down and see, you can send a message here as well. If you select messages, you can reply.
Krista, if you go back, you can actually pop into that view column on an unpaid and on a on an open invoice. And there's the approve or decline button is in there as well. You go back to an open one.
Jessica, go ahead and refresh as well. I updated you and added you as the board invoice approver.
Thanks.
So if you go to view on any
here. Okay, so here I can approve all of them, or I can go to view, and then that approve or decline button will be at the top here. So I can approve that invoice. The next step is automatically this step 8, which is check for signature approval. That is correct. There's nothing needed on that. You just go ahead. If you don't have any notes or attachments, you just hit submit, and then it gets in the ready for payment step. The way that you can track invoices to see if they've been paid or not. So you have my items, and then you have open, and then you also have closed. So you can see all the paid invoices. You can sort, by date or filter by date, and select view here. You can, see the actual attachments for the invoice. or any messages that had been sent on that thread. You know, if you're wondering, hey, did this other board member ever ask that question? You know, why was this amount? You can kind of drill down there. So that's by selecting closed.
Jessica, there's one question in the chat. Could you go back to a invoice that has not been approved yet and open that up?
Yep.
The question was, can they edit and enter the GL accounts and the description? So as you can see, when you're approving it, if you select edit, Jessica, you can, on the bottom right.
Yes, you can
So you can go in
edit.
there, yes, you can change the GL account. You can add a note right here in that section there.
Type a description if you like.
Exactly. So
That's that edit button on the general ledger where it shows you the details. You can edit the GL accounts.
yes, and another nice function of the portal is that Jessica, if you was go and close this and then select recent next to general, go back one where you were, where there's recent invoices. So you could look back at previous invoices for that contract, for that vendor, and see how it was coded if you had some questions. So there's a lot of transparency in the portal for the board to see not only what's open, but also what's closed and how they were coded, and you can edit those.
All right.
Great. There were a couple of other invoice questions in the chat. You've got Marilyn's for doing the kind of higher level coding. And then I think there was another one. This might not be portal training. This might be something we need to just connect with the accounting department. But Steve, is there a way to schedule payments instead of immediately submitting invoices and having them paid as soon as they're approved? What would be the process on that if you were looking to schedule payments out, I assume, like a
if it is something that is kind of an emergency, we can set up an ACH payment overnight by contacting support. But in general, to get a payment out, we would need an invoice created and put through the process and then approved by the board through the normal channels. But if, like I said, if it is an emergency, we have often we can do a one-time ACH payment directly from the bank at the board's request by reaching out to support.
And then if they needed to be scheduled out, not an emergency, like maybe something that's on a payment plan.
Yes, we have the ability to set up recurring payments in the system, any amount, any date, ACH or check. Those can automatically be posted in our system. So we have pretty much any way you can think about how you'd want to pay a vendor, we can get it done for you.
How soon are invoices uploaded after you they're processed
It's usually within 24 hours. You know, the standard is 2 business days. I have an invoice submission guide. I will link in the chat. And that has those timeframes on it.
Great. All right. There's no more invoices questions just now. I'll move on. Chugging along here. The next item on the board actions list is collections. So oftentimes we'll have a board reach out and say, you know, I noticed this owner hasn't paid. Have
I'm
they been
sorry,
contacted?
Jessica.
Yes, hi.
Hi, I tried to send a message, but I don't think it's working. But regarding the invoice,
Yeah.
If we use the gardener who doesn't have license, or there's a lot of, the gardener doesn't have license, or they cannot send us the invoice and emails, is it possible that you guys can pay to them, or we cannot use them anymore?
You want me to jump in there?
Sure. Yeah.
So we will pay the vendors you work with. We do not control who you want to work with. That is within your authority as the board. I do have to always say that we strongly encourage you to use bonded and insured vendors to protect you and the association from any liability.
Mm-hmm.
We have to say that, but we also do understand the practical necessity sometimes of the small jobs that small associations need. We will pay any vendor who will get paid through an ACH or check. We have one association who they have a landscape contractor that has to be paid in cash. That we can't do. But we reimburse that board for their cash payments to their association. We will pay your vendors as long as they can be paid, in a traditional invoicing payment system.
Okay, so it's not really required license or because we've been using before we joined the management company, we've been using them over 10 years.
Oh, sure.
So yeah.
Yeah,
Okay, so it is okay without the license.
it
Okay,
is
I
okay.
understand.
Got
Thank
it.
you.
You got it.
Uh-huh.
Great. So back to collections on this. If you ever have a question, if an owner has kind of received any contact about their delinquent payment, you can go to this collections tab here and it will show you what step it's called a collection action item without necessarily being with a collection agency or, at that level. Late notices are kicked off typically after 15 days of being delinquent. And if you go to the actual action item, you can view the attachment. It will pull up the actual late notice. It shows them their statement and then the late notice that is sent, any attachments with it. So you'll be able to actually see what the owner has been sent and the dates that they've been sent. So if you're, wondering if they were notified, you can easily tell that by selecting collections. The closed collections, you'll also see them, so you can see if the balance was settled or, I thought this owner was delinquent. What happened? You'll see here, the action item was closed. It was settled already. But there's more information about our kind of collection, how that works in the board resources folder with Excella. I don't want to get too much into that today for the board portal training, but you are able to see that here, which brings me to the next category here for homeowners. So
Jessica,
yes.
I'm sorry. I have another question regarding collection.
Mhm.
So I'm the board member.
Mhm.
So if I go to
August, you're on a call, retard.
Mhm.
collection item, then if it's pending, it will show on here.
Yeah, so that pending step we put into the action item so that um, we can communicate, or the board can communicate with the owner can communicate with us, with the board. That pending step is just an internal thing so that we can send and receive messages on that thread so everything's recorded and easily tracked there.
So if I don't see any item or actions on here, that means
That there
the
aren't any open
board
late
did
notices.
not, yeah, I mean the collection agency does not start the work, right?
Well, just because they're here doesn't mean it's with a collection agency. So these late
Mm-hmm.
notices, so the way that we set it up, we send a late notice, a
Mm-hmm.
second notice, and then a third late notice, which we call the intent to collect. After that, that intent to collect letter is also mailed USPS. Um, After that time period with this kind of 60-day time frame, then it
Mm-hmm.
gets stepped to this request board authorization to send to collections, and that's where you'll have more information, and the board decides if they'd like to move forward. And at that point, we would send them to our collection partner, Excella. And then they would work directly with the collection agency to recover those fees. But the notices, these are just sent through Microwave on behalf of the association, letting them know of the delinquency and next steps and potential, fees associated with sending them to collections. So these are all viewable here.
Okay.
And
Thank
also,
you.
you're welcome. Also, if you select homeowners, so this homeowner page is kind of underutilized, I feel like. Not only can you just see the homeowner, see if there's any balances, their contact information, but you can actually drill down into an owner account by selecting the account number. You can view all of their open action items, a summary of their charges and transactions. So if you were ever wondering if they were, charged a late fee, hey, did they forget a violation fine, that we requested or a late fee for this? You would be able to see that by selecting the actual homeowner. One quirk that I did just notice, this was brought up a few days ago, the address when you're searching for a homeowner, it's pulling their mailing address and not their property address. So if you select these three black dots here, you can select choose column, and then select property address. And that way you can sort by property address. So you can add any of these columns that you'd like. So all phones, all emails, if you're looking for a specific contact information, if you know that it's a rental and you want to see if the tenant's information is in there, you can select tenants. So this choose columns feature is pretty neat. So you can sort that way. But just kind of drilling down to an owner's account is an option for you to do as well.
Jessica, if favor, select collections again to pull up that list. And then, okay, good. Yes. Good. I just want to confirm something. Great. Thank you.
Yep. All right. So again, being able to drill down to an owner's account, see their summary, see their transaction history, is all available in homeowners. It's different than this directory up here, which is available to all homeowners. Owners can opt in to show their contact information in the directory. Board members, this isn't an opt-in. Board members automatically have access to any contact information that we have on record. Owners
Everything.
cannot opt out of that. So
Complete access. Jan has her hand up for a question. Jan, do you want to unmute and ask your question?
Jan, you with us?
Jan, if you're talking, I can't hear you, but you're not muted either. So
I can't hear Jan either.
Jan, if you want to pop something into the chat, I can ask it for you. I'll look it up. I'll look out for that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, the last few things here before we go into banking heads and reports, violations. I mentioned earlier in the document folder under board resources, there's a little how-to for submitting violations and a violation form that we ask you submit to support at microHOA.com anytime you issue a violation. Once you reach out to us to issue the violation, you'll be able to view it under the violations tab. You'll be able to see the step that it's in. Is this a first notice? Was it a second notice? Is it, if your association has an enforcement policy and fine schedule, you'll be able to see were any fines assessed. You can view the attachments that are sent to the owner. You can view any messages that were on the thread. And you can also send messages. So this is a great place that I love when board members, if they issue a violation, it is the responsibility of the board to let us know whether to escalate or to close the violation. So it's amazing when a board member just on that actual violation thread in the portal will just say, please close, it's been addressed, or please escalate. It's just great for tracking because then we just have it all in one place. And we can say, okay, here's that XN, that number that's attached to all action items in the portal. If we ever need to go back and track it, or if it was closed, we can always go back and look on closed to see, if we need to reopen a violation. But these open violations, here's where you'll be able to see, what step they're in, send any messages, view any messages, and let us know, when to close or escalate the violation, like I said. All right, we're running a little bit low on time today and we're almost done. So the last kind of piece here, we're going to switch back over to financials. In this bank account section, this is where you'll be able to see your transaction histories for your bank accounts by selecting view. You can change the date range. If you're looking for something specific, you can look for a specific amount. If you know a check number that you were looking for, or anything like that, you can export this information as well. I think all the columns are probably chosen, yeah. So if you have a reserve account, same thing for this. You'll just be able to see your transactions as soon as they're reconciled on our end. And then this underutilized section is for reports. We have available to board members at any time. You can pull reports in real time, collections reports, violation reports, the financials. So if you want a balance sheet, you're having a board meeting, you want most up-to-date financials or AR aging. If you view the report, pull it up on the screen. The only thing to remember here, it automatically always has a process date of the last day of the month prior. So it's automatically going to default to that date. So if you want the most up to date, you'll just change the date to today, preview. And then you have your report that you can download in any of these formats. So just keep note on that process date. And they have like different, if you're looking for the AR reports and I only want to know, for accounts that are over 30 days delinquent, you could run it that way. And it'll only show that information. Your consolidated. We go, we just change, the end date if you have specific timeframes you're looking for, etc.
I'm going to jump into some chat questions.
Perfect.
Back on the homeowner screen, Jessica. I don't want to leave reports because reports is my favorite section, but the homeowner screen is my second. So Jan asks, when you were showing the search function, does the search function only see data for the column selected, or does it search the whole record for a piece of information?
So you'd have to have the column selected. So yeah, it's since they updated it, this address quirk has been happening. I did put in a ticket to our support team at our partner Vanica, because it's a little quirky that the address is pulling the mailing address and not the property address. So I always just go back and add that property address, and you can sort it that way. Or again, adding any of these fields that you wanted to your sort. Or you can, if you're looking for, owners with a zero balance or does not equal zero. If you're looking for owners with a balance, does not equal zero, and then you'll see all the owners that will pull up that have a balance. Okay.
All right. There are some more chat questions. I'm going to dive into there. We're clarifying that homeowner payments go to the lock boxes, not to the Raleigh, North Carolina micro HOA office. We want your homeowner payments to go directly to your association's dedicated lockbox at your bank. And that's either going to be a Phoenix address for most of you, a Phoenix, Arizona address, and then a Dallas, Texas address for a few recent ones. But that Raleigh, North Carolina, no homeowner payments should come here because that just delays their deposit. We want them to go straight to your bank account. Yeah, so that's clarifying that. If I've missed your question.
I saw one on violations that I replied to in the thread. Violations are not processed automatically. A board member needs to initiate a violation. So, even if an owner writes in and says, my neighbor's dog was barking all night, we submit that question to the board, and then the board member would need to fill out the violation submission form, and then we'll get that initiated.
Jessica, could you review how to add columns and also how to save that setting?
Yeah, that save setting's not in here right now, Steve.
Really?
Well, go ahead and show how to select the columns.
Yeah. So to select the columns, you the three black dots, and then it says choose columns. Oh, you could pin the column.
Interesting.
Or
Good.
reset columns. Reset makes it back to the default. You can choose columns by adding them there. But I'm not seeing the option to save those grid settings.
Maybe it's just by default now.
That's what I was hoping, but then when I go I go out of the screen and go back in, it does not save. So I think that is another quirk that we will alert our support team to.
And I guess while you're in here too, I always like to remind everybody that the export function is really useful if you're preparing for a meeting, or you have make a list of homeowners you want to contact. You can export as a PDF, you can export as an Excel. It's a nice option to have if you want to work on something on your computer or take it with you. So that's available on almost every screen in your portal.
Thank you, Jan.
Yeah, Jan, I was going to say, I'm with you, right? Go ahead.
Jan said, this little, what do you call this? I call it something different.
Gear icon.
Gear. Yeah.
The gear. That's the word I can never think of. The little gear icon is the thing to hit when you want to save your columns. And it is, I do see for the ARC, but not for all of the other, not on the homeowner list, which it should be. So we will let our team know.
Customize.
Yes. The invoices link.
The invoice submissions guide. I'm looking for that right now, which is why I may seem a little distracted. I made some changes to it. I grabbed the document and I made some changes to it, but to distinguish between submitted by email and submitted by paper. And my updates are not in the document I'm finding right now. And so I will follow up. We will push that back out to the boards as soon as I find that updated document. And I apologize for that.
Yes, we will upload that to the board resources folder for sure. As soon as it's ready, we will upload it to the document library under board resources. I'll create a folder for, invoice processing, and we'll have it there.
There's such a huge disparity between the speed on mailed invoices and payments versus invoices submitted to the invoice email. It's just like a different world. You probably are looking at a 7-day turnaround if your vendor is submitting by email and then we're paying them by ACH. They're getting paid within a week. But if it's by mail, oh my gosh, it is we don't know how long it takes to get here. And if they want to get paid by a mail check, we don't know how long it takes to get to that. It's just, it literally makes it, over 30 days. So we're going to get that invoice guide on your board resources in your portal. Sorry about that. I was just working on that on Monday and I can't find it at all now.
Any other
Jessica,
questions?
do you have anything else? We are right at time and we want to be respectful of your time as a volunteer. I think we've answered all the questions in the chat. Jessica, is there anything else you want to add? And then I want to do our upcoming, just a real quick look at our upcoming activity.
All right, all yours.
Okay, so thanks for being here. And I just want to give you guys a heads up. You'll see these things through our messaging, but upcoming education events for board volunteers. Next week on Tuesday, we are going to do a session on maintenance in small HOAs. We're going to talk about strategies for our tight budgets. We're going to talk about liabilities of maintenance and then support options that we have partners for you, integrated partners for you. So that's next week. Thursday, July 15th, I really want to highlight this one big. All about delinquencies and collections for small HOAs. This is a really big issue. Some of you are lucky enough to have terrific payers. If you attend one of our education events all year, I would say this would be the one. There are some significant new laws in some of the states that your communities are in, which are making it more urgent and to move quickly on delinquencies. It's basically like move it or lose it. So courts and legislatures are making it harder for associations in general to collect assessments. And nowhere does that hit harder than in our small associations, because one or two delinquent payers and you really have pressures on your ability to meet your funding goals. So that one's a big one. And then we'll have a July board portal training like this one. And then looking ahead in September, we're going to do a class on reserve study planning for small associations. And then right coming behind that, it's 2027 budget planning time. So all through October and November, we will barrage you with opportunities to work on your 2027 budgets. So that's it for now. Thanks very much for being here.
Yeah.
John, can you entertain one quick question about one of the upcoming trainings?
Yes.
So I'm wondering on the budget planning,
Yeah.
we're planning on creating a budget committee that might include people who are homeowners but not on the board.
Yeah.
Can we be sure to facilitate that training so that they can non-board member budget committee members can participate?
Yeah, absolutely.
Great, thank you.
Yep.
And thanks for doing this.
You got it. All right, guys, if that's it, enjoy your Tuesday and we will talk to you soon.